Welcome to the Sheffield United way. My name is Jairo Riedewald. This is who we're going to talk about, a 29-year-old, 6-foot Dutch, left-footed defensive midfielder who can also operate at centre-back and left-back. He's now signed a short-term contract with the Blades. In fact, Riedewald is Chris Wilder's first signing since returning to the club for that third stint as manager. Now, Riedewald has previously played at Ajax. The famed Ajax youth system are responsible for this defensive midfielder. He's played in the Premier League with Crystal Palace and he's played with Antwerp. He's represented the Netherlands at youth levels from under-15s all the way up to under-21s, and he's received 3 full caps for his country. He's played for the Netherlands and he's played against Turkey, Kazakhstan and the Czech Republic. And interestingly, and maybe this says a little bit more about where the Dutch national team are right now than anything to do with Riedewald. But those Turkey, Kazakhstan and Czech Republic games, the Dutch only won one of those games. And you guess which one? Yeah, that's right, against Kazakhstan, 2-1. Even that's closer than you'd think. And they lost the other 2. He played left back in all 3 of those full international cap matches. What was a bit strange about this is back in 2024, rather oddly, and despite no longer being eligible to switch nationality, Riedewald stated quite publicly, it was reported that he'd expressed an interest in playing for the Indonesian national team, but he'd already got 3 caps for the Netherlands. It's far too late. His full name is Jairo Riedewald. He was born in Haarlem. Riedewald, that's in the Netherlands, is a mix of Dutch, Surinamese and Indonesian heritage. His father is Surinamese. His mother has that mixed Dutch, Indonesian ancestry, which is how he felt he would be eligible. And he is eligible, but it's too late now to play for Indonesia. And it's very unlikely that he will ever represent the Netherlands. Although I say never. You know, he might have a bit of a swan song with Sheffield United. I think we all rather hope that would be the case. Of course, his contract would need to be extended in that instance, but let's see. And also, let's see where he would be most utilised. A youth product of Ajax, Riedewald spent 4 seasons at the club. He actually was really important to them. He became a bit of a key player, particularly under a manager you might not instantly think of as a success, certainly a failed manager in the Premier League, but what a great player, Frank de Boer. Maybe Frank saw something that he liked in Jairo Riedewald because Jairo can play at left back and centre back and is left footed. That's exactly the same situation with Frank de Boer. Now, let's not get it twisted. Frank de Boer, a markedly superior footballer in his day and probably one of the best Dutch centre backs of all time, but could also play left back. Now, in 2017, he was signed, Jairo, for £8 million by Premier League club Crystal Palace. And this was interesting because he was reunited with Frank de Boer, but only for a very, very short time. Because as I mentioned, Frank de Boer was not a success with the Eagles. Jairo went on to make nearly 100 appearances in 7 years, so quite a long time, and actually could have played a lot more in England. And in February 2021, Riedewald extended his contract with Crystal Palace. That was until 2024. And in June 2024, he maybe would have hoped that he would have had another extension, but Palace announced that he would actually be leaving the club upon the expiry of his contract on the 30th of June in that year. I have read, I have seen, I have done as much as I can, and it's really mixed when it comes to Crystal Palace fans and their views on Riedewald. I mean, during his time, though, as an Eagle, his teammate, 𝗣𝗿𝗄𝐻𝗄, said he was the toughest player to come up against at Palace in training. In fact, if you weren't on Jairo's team in training, you lost. I mean, when you hear that from a fellow pro, and 𝗍 is no slouch, he knows exactly what he's talking about, and he knows quality players. He's played with some very good ones at Crystal Palace and in his entire career. He really rates Jairo. And one of the reasons I think we have to look at why he's not been the success that certainly many expected. I mean, I'm not really one for putting too much stock in computer games, but he was a Football Manager legend as a youth player that would go on to be one of the best players in the game. I think it was FM15. I think it was that one, where he really was like on all the websites, this is the wonder kid that you must sign. And many people expected him to go on and have an illustrious career. He's 29 now. He only turned 29 in September. But 3 caps for his nation, predicted, I'm sure, by many to have far more than that. If we look at a breakdown of positions he's occupied in his career, well, I mentioned he's predominantly a defensive midfielder. And whilst that is true, he's actually played in a lot of other positions for a similar amount of time. Okay, the most is defensive midfield. 86 starts he's had there. He scored 4 goals. He's got 2 assists. He's played as a centre-back 77 times. 2 goals, 2 assists. He played as a left-back. I mentioned that's where he's played for his nation. 45 times, also 2 goals, 2 assists. And he's actually played in central midfield 21 times. In his professional career, it is 230 appearances, 7 goals. If we break it down by club, the most appearances he ever made for anyone was Crystal Palace, but only just 96, 3 goals, 1 assist. For Ajax, 93, so 3 shy of how many he made for Palace. Yeah, 3 goals, 3 assists, and he played 28 times for Royal Antwerp. I actually helped paint the stadium at Royal Antwerp. That's a story probably for another day, but quite an interesting one. Not that many of my stories are. Now, he's been sent off once. He's been given 20 yellows. Not bad, not a dirty player, but he's been very unfortunate. And this is really where we get to the crux of why his career hasn't quite gone the way many predicted. He's been really unfortunate and had a lot of injuries. So I don't want to sort of dwell on all of these too much, but if I just go into the areas of real concern, he's had, in the early part of his career, 2 kind of hefty knee injuries. He did require ankle surgery. That was in 2016. That kept him out for 74 days. He then had a recurrence of that knee problem. He then had the knee problem featuring twice more in 2017 and 2018, missing a whole month in October of 2018. He then had a groin injury, a hamstring injury, another hamstring injury. I mean, these hamstring injuries have been so bad. Let me give you an example. With Royal Antwerp, he was out with a hamstring problem for just shy of 100 days. No wonder he never played a full season with them. Roy's view from 𝗏𝗏𝗏.com. Do check it out. Roy, Andrew, Panchero, whatever you want to call him. A good friend of mine and a good guy, putting a lot of effort into his website, 𝗏𝗏𝗏from.com. Well, he looked at the views of fans who've seen Jairo play in the flesh. And I have, but I must admit, I didn't really remember too much when I saw him play before. But Royal Antwerp fans have said he's always injured. I didn't see him much. Riedewald didn't seem that good to me. Just not good enough. I don't want to comment on Riedewald. Didn't even realise he'd left. A blind man who couldn't even walk at left back, who suddenly has to play at number 6, a position that requires much more running. Now, those Royal Antwerp fans' comments are harsh, to say the least. There's a bit more of our friend Billy Balance commenting in the Crystal Palace fans section. Must be one of the worst footballers Palace have ever had. He was really bad. He barely played for us. He was a good squad player to have. Always just a squad player. A versatile player, comfortable in a possession-based system that brings good vibes and is happy to be on the bench. Jairo just never got a run in any side, but when he did, always looked decent, played a big role behind the scenes. So we're getting from that, good for the dressing room. Let's carry on with the quotes. Never really got a chance in his favourite position. Jairo never really established himself, but seemed like a good pro and really bought into the club. A great team man. Riedewald was severely underplayed during his tenure at Selhurst Park, probably ruined his once promising career by staying for so long at Palace. Jairo sold a dream by a manager who lasted 2 minutes. Frank de Boer. Roy Hodgson, never really gave him an opportunity, always stuck with his favourites, always gave everything, never complained. Yeah, it's important I mentioned that was Roy Hodgson rather than Roy from Roy's view from, who was never in charge, as far as I'm aware, of Crystal Palace. Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. More quotes. He was so underrated. You see why I said these were mixed. I always felt Jairo was so close to being an important player for us, but hopefully he will do well elsewhere. We hope for that as well. A quality player that rarely looked fit because he wasn't getting minutes. Right, as I said, a mixed bag, but I think we get a picture. Now, from what I've been able to ascertain from highlights and match reports, he's known for being technically capable, so he's, composed of the ball at his feet, technically sound. Having a good distribution on his day, that was something that I kept coming back to. Passing range, good. His versatility, we've already established, it is a strength. But I always think versatility means you're a Swiss Army knife. You're a utility player. You can never really get that standout position. So it lacks a clear, where is this guy going to play? Reports have highlighted a need for increased intensity and physicality, particularly in the English game. Some weaknesses, well, I've mentioned that intensity and physicality. So I think he does need to improve physically, which at 29 he might not do. Already mentioned lack of clear position. His versatility, actually some see as a disadvantage, doesn't have one obvious best position to consistently play. And the best players at a high level, you kind of all know exactly where they fit in. And inconsistent playing time, not necessarily his fault, but a lack of consistent minutes, I think, has made it really difficult to fully showcase Jairo's abilities. So, Jairo Riedewald, Sheffield United's latest addition. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for, I'm just going to say that like this, because you might be listening on podcast rather than watching. Thank you for consuming this content. I might end like that all the time now. 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗚𝗿𝗚𝗚. 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗚𝗚𝗚.